welcome to One More Thing with Dr. Baucom.
Good morning.
So I was at a church Sunday. I had the day off, and I got to watch it online, and I thought it was right. This is something that's very obviously passionate. You and I have had off-site conversations about what we might label theodicy, but the way you spoke about it was very impactful, very practical, because you can get bogged down in the intelligentsia and the, what I call the philosophical psychobabble of,
Right.
of that. And I get goosebumps thinking about it. I had dinner last night with a young guy. He's a younger dude at the church named Ben. And he had nothing but great things to say about the sermon, how it was very impactful for him, because these are the questions we wrestle with. Like, why do these things happen? How do I stay faithful to God in light of bad things occurring? And I one of the points you made, it's like you didn't really make points. You really asked questions.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things you said, how long do I have to wait on God? Like, as pastors, how do we encourage people when some people have been waiting a long time for a healing or for things to improve? Like, how do you encourage someone, Dr. Baucom, to stay faithful to God, that God is not the cause of these things?
Right. I think that's a couple questions within that. But I think that how do we stay faithful? And I think we can go back a little bit and say, well, we're almost talking about the patience fruit of the Spirit again. You know, patience. It's long-standing steadfastness, keeping at it no matter what, and faithfulness is the same thing. What we want is not necessarily what we get. Mm-hmm. So I ask other questions that'll highlight. How long does it take to grow an oak tree? It starts with an acorn, and then it gets bigger, but at some point it becomes a majestic oak, and it doesn't happen overnight. But we want things too quickly. I grew up in a tradition that's, it's like a prayer capsule. You sit down and you say this prayer, and immediately your heart's changed. Immediately your life's changed. Mm-hmm. But there's a long distance between something being born, a new baby, and adulthood. And there's a lot of distance between the time that we're 18 to think ourselves as adult until we get to middle age, which is 26. Middle age, well, if you're 75-year life expectancy, first 25 is young, the middle is 25 to 50, and I'm beyond that. But that's a good question. I just think it takes time. And how long do I have to wait? And I think the answer is put your trust in me, and let's do it one day at a time.
That's right.
And it's not about finishing this particular incident. It's about every day within this getting through it.
Yep.
Some people, I think, lose their lives or they miss their lives.
Right.
Because sometimes the adversarial circumstances that we go through are the very good things that happen. I remember a guy who sold his business for over $50 million. This is like 40 years ago.
Wow.
Extremely wealthy. And I remember him telling me one day, he said, Larry, he said, if people think that money is where it's at, that's the root of happiness, send them to me. And I'll tell you, it's not. He said, I have all the money I could ever spend. He said, but as I look back on my life as an engineering developing products that he later patented and sold a company, he said, the best time of my life was I was in the midst of the struggle. I wasn't the fat cat. I was working every day. I saw something that needed to be done, and I problem solved, and every day was just trying to figure out how to get through the day and solve those problems. And I think that may be a good answer for how long. I think you just go every day.
That's it. It's moment by moment, right?
Yeah,
so
agreed.
Not to bring too much philosophy into this, but Aristotle had this beautiful understanding of time that was paradoxical, which I think fits with Suncoast, right? We sort of live in the paradox. What do you call two PhDs on a podcast?
Paradox.
That's right. But he understood it this way, that time, whatever it is, you have the past. The past once existed, but it doesn't exist anymore. Mm-hmm. And then you have the future, which will exist, but it doesn't exist now. And so right now, the moment now, is this thin sort of veil of contention between two things that do not exist.
I agree.
And we have to live moment by moment, in the moment. And we have to have this heightened sense of awareness of our own temporality, our own limitations. And when we come to that, it's almost like you said, like God gives us free will in the sermon, and we have a choice to make. Or are we going to let this temporality sort of create depression in us? Like, whoa. Yeah. Or are we going to use like, I'm alive. Breathe in and breathe out like you've been teaching us. And stay faithful. It's hard right now, but I'm going to stay faithful. I'm going through crap right now, but I'm going to stay faithful. Or even when it's good, when things are good, I'm still going to stay faithful. I'm not going to lose sight of God. And there's something very powerful and empowering about living in that threshold between the two non-existent planes of being, if I could call it that. Yeah. And so that's one of the things I learned from your sermon. That's what it made me think about is it took Noah, I love when you made that joke. Noah, how long is it going to take to make this ark? How long can you tread water? Yeah. Well, you better
get on it.
You better get on it. And I think without sounding pushy or arrogant, that's the call of God to us. I'm here. Like the prescription was always forever within me. And that's what I think is so powerful about breathing in that breath is it's a reminder of, man, God is the essence of life that is given to me every day. And life is not always going to be great. It's not always going to be grand, but it's there. And speak to that truth for us.
Well, I think Aristotle's comment about the moment by moment, it's a good segue, could have used that between point 2 and point 3. The first was how long. The second one is why. Why do all these things why do bad things happen to good people? And the third thing is what's next. The why always is looking in the rearview mirror. Mm-hmm. Why? What happened? Why? But what's next is really the future. Mm-hmm. But it's having to deal with today as the beginning of tomorrow. Yeah. So it's really it's the more in the moment observation. That what's next. I've seen. I remember being at a kids' football game, and one of the kids on the team that week died in a car accident. And they brought all the kids together, and the pastor was there, and this was many years ago, and this pastor said, right now we don't have the answer to why this happened to him, but we can say what next. How can this affect me to where I'm a better human being? What can happen now? I can't change that. And a lot of us can't change, why did I get divorced? Why did I have the surgery? And, why this, we don't know. I had a niece who passed away because she took sleeping pills and she couldn't remember whether she took her other pills. So she went to the hospital and they said, we don't know. And she said, I really don't know. I don't remember. But I may have taken 2 doses. They said, well, just go home and sleep it off. She went home and died.
Oh, my God.
And there's a little liability there, but they didn't push it. But in the past, why did she do that? Why did she die? And the right response is, what's next? How do I honor her? How do I honor her life? How do I honor, how do I help these people? Yeah. I had a most interesting phone call late last night. It was one of my childhood friends, not really a church guy, but his name is Gary. And Gary and I were friends before we started school, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th grades together. And then I moved to a different school. But we've been friends his whole life. And the big joke is when they asked when his birthday was, he didn't know, but I did. So I knew his birthday before he did. So every March 31st, I call him and see what's going on. Yeah. But he told me the story last night. When he phone rang, I was so excited to talk to him. He said, hey, I will tell you, my younger brother, Ronnie, who's 2 years younger than he and I, we're the same age, he died. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry about Ronnie. He said, he had cardiac arrest. He's not that old of a guy at 66 years old. Mm-hmm. And then I said, well, how are you doing? He said, well, I'm not doing very well either. He said, I have some issues with his wife who'd been hospitalized for 3 weeks with a highly contagious thing. And then she got COVID in the hospital. Oh. And then he finally had to go get her after 3 weeks being in the hospital, bring her home, but she could not associate with anyone. That's the second trauma. The third trauma, he said, I had rotator cuff surgery this summer, and I can't sleep. I've been in a recliner. I'm just in agony. And the fourth trouble is his prostate. And if you don't know, prostate's about the size of a walnut. He said his is as big as his fist. Oh. So he cannot sit down. And they're waiting on a machine that's going to come in and do some radical surgery on this. But But in talking to the guy, I go, man, all of a sudden your brother dies, your wife's been in the hospital, she's critically ill, you're confined to your deal, you're going through recovery from rotator cuff, and now you're imminent with prostate surgery. And in any counseling session, they say you can handle about 3 stresses, and here's a guy that's got 5.
My goodness.
And I just basically, Gary, I had a tear rolling down my cheek. I said, we've been friends a long time. Thank you for letting me know so I can pray for you.
Yeah.
And I want people, and he's on my heart. Why did all this stuff happen? I don't know. But what can you do today?
That's it.
And today I can put my trust in God who loves me.
Yep.
The circumstances do not win, but it's the presence of God in my life that makes all the difference.
That's right.
So those are everyday things that happen to you and they happen to me.
Yep.
But it's about being faithful to always let people know that God is with you and he always cares and he loves you. And that makes a big difference.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I think that's the reminder we need every day. We just have to find those. And I think that's why taking home the cards is so important.
Yeah.
Because you just look at it, and no matter what you're going, you could say, breathe in, breathe out, always, forever within me. And
Awesome.
we have to do that, man. That just gets us through those tough times, man.
So this week,
You and I.
it's going to be thankfulness.
That's right.
Then we'll finish it up with self-control.
That's right.
But, this week, a week from this coming Thursday is Thanksgiving. So before Thanksgiving, we'll talk about Thanksgiving. It'll be an excellent teaching.
Absolutely. It's not one of the fruits, but it should be, right? Being thankful.
Yeah, blessed are the flexible.
Yeah, Paul missed one, man.
Yeah, that's right. We help Paul every now and then.
Appreciate it, Dr. Baucom.
My
Thanks.
pleasure. Thank you.